He says ISO 20022 support is essential to open banking and combining the TradFi and DeFi worlds. So that's traditional finance and decentralized finance worlds. ADA is glad to be holding the line with XRP.
The moment that video ended, that feeling in your chest, the tight anticipatory thrum, that's not just nerves, that's intuition. It's the part of you that knows something is brewing, something massive, something the charts don't fully reveal yet. And if you've been following crypto for a while,
the need for 24/7 access, always on access to people's accounts and crediting to their investments, and blockchain is what does that. So all along in our videos, I've always talked about ISO 20022 compatible and compliant coins, which is what XRP is, XLM is, Algo, XDC.
you know that feeling never lies. It's the energy that precedes the big moves, the silent hum that hints the storm is coming. But in this case, it isn't chaos. It's opportunity. Because XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC are not just any coins. They've been quietly building, quietly integrating, quietly positioning themselves for what I can only describe as a perfect storm of adoption, infrastructure, and utility, the kind that doesn't just move prices, it rewrites the rules of how digital assets interact with the world. And here's the kicker. Insiders have been speaking. Not loudly, not in flashy press releases, but in subtle, strategic ways that reveal timelines, partnerships, and real-world adoption that retail investors rarely notice. Think about it. For years, XLM and XRP were dismissed as old school or overhyped, while HBAR and XDC flew under the radar of mainstream conversation. But anyone paying attention to the whispers, to the subtle hints in interviews, technical updates, and partnership announcements, could see the pattern forming. Global payment corridors, institutional onboarding, compliance infrastructure, cross-border settlement integrations, these are not random events. They are signals. Signals that the real-world adoption of these networks is accelerating faster than most people can imagine. And here's the emotional part. You feel it even before your mind can process it. It's the subtle shift in energy, the way conversations change when insiders are near, the slight hints dropped in interviews that feel almost accidental, but aren't. They're soft confirmations that something huge is coming. That's what separates the early believers from the crowd. The early believers feel the movement in their gut before it hits the charts. They see the patterns where others only see sideways prices. They understand that quiet accumulation now equals explosive potential later. XLM, for example, has been quietly expanding partnerships with financial institutions and remittance providers, creating a network effect that is slowly but surely solidifying its position in global payments. Ripple's XRP is quietly being integrated into corporate liquidity corridors, cross-border settlements, and enterprise solutions that, once fully activated, will create constant demand and utility. HBAR is building a decentralized network infrastructure that corporations are beginning to rely on for enterprise solutions, and XDC is laying the foundation for trade finance digitization that could redefine how global commerce operates. This is why insiders speak in careful tones. They cannot reveal the full picture, but they drop breadcrumbs for those paying attention. And every single one of these coins has a role in a system that is not theoretical. It is practical, scalable, and ready for massive adoption. The timing is crucial. By 2026, these networks are positioned not just to grow, but to explode in value as the infrastructure they support becomes essential to global systems. And the incredible thing is, the market does not yet fully realize it. Retail investors are distracted by hype cycles, Bitcoin dominance, and volatile charts, missing the underlying shift. But those who understand what insiders are hinting at, and who recognize that infrastructure-driven utility precedes massive price movements, know that the stage is being set for one of the most explosive phases in crypto history. So, if you are watching this, feeling that subtle pulse, that quiet but insistent feeling that something big is about to happen, trust it. Because XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC are not waiting for hype. They are waiting for activation. And once the systems they have been quietly building reach critical mass, the next chapter will not be gradual. It will be explosive. By 2026, the coins that seemed stuck or under the radar will become undeniable powerhouses in the crypto ecosystem. The insiders already know. The infrastructure already exists. And the early believers, the people paying attention, will be ready to witness the kind of growth that only comes once every cycle. If you take a step back and really look at the way XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC have been moving, or more accurately, not moving in the obvious chaotic way the market expects, it starts to make sense. The market feels quiet, almost stagnant, but that is deceptive. What is happening beneath the surface is a carefully orchestrated accumulation and positioning phase, and this is exactly what insiders have been hinting at for months. Think about it. Insiders don't speak randomly. They don't drop hints unless they are trying to communicate something important to the people who are paying attention. And lately, there have been subtle signals everywhere. Ripple executives talking about global liquidity corridors with this unusual confidence. Stellar insiders hinting at integrations with financial networks in regions that were previously unreachable. HBAR quietly onboarding enterprise solutions that make sense only if adoption is about to accelerate. XDC being integrated into trade finance systems in ways that could reshape global commerce. These are not coincidences. They are signals. The emotional impact of this is huge, even if you don't fully realize it at first. Because it is one thing to see the charts, and another to feel what is happening. When insiders start speaking differently, when they are careful yet confident, subtle yet intentional, it sends a vibration you can feel even without numbers in front of you. And for people who have been watching this space for years, that vibration is unmistakable. It is the kind of pulse that precedes a surge, the quiet hum before everything turns upside down. Now let's break it down a little further. XLM has been building quietly, forming real-world connections with remittance platforms, anchors, and payment corridors. The network is being stress-tested in ways that the public barely notices, and insiders are dropping hints that these integrations are about to move into production at a larger scale. XRP, meanwhile, is seeing institutional adoption that has gone almost completely under the radar. Banks and corporations are testing settlement corridors that will create constant demand for liquidity in XRP once activated. HBAR's enterprise solutions are growing quietly but significantly, from supply chain applications to decentralized identity and beyond. XDC, often overlooked, is positioning itself as a backbone for trade finance digitization. A huge, practical use case that will drive adoption. Here's the critical part. All of this is happening in a coordinated fashion. Prices may feel flat, but the infrastructure and adoption behind these coins are accelerating. The market does not move in charts first, it moves in systems, adoption, partnerships, and utility first. Price is the lagging indicator. And that is exactly why insiders have been dropping subtle confirmations in their interviews, reports, and presentations. They know what is coming, and they are preparing the early listeners for it without setting off alarms for the masses. And think about the implications. When these systems go live, when cross-border corridors fully activate, when enterprise solutions are implemented at scale, when trade finance and liquidity systems finally roll out, the demand for these coins will explode. This is not speculation. This is structural. This is adoption-driven. And adoption-driven moves tend to be unstoppable because they are based on actual utility, not hype. One more thing, timing matters. By 2026, the pieces will likely be in place to support exponential growth. Regulatory clarity will continue to improve, partnerships will expand, and enterprise and institutional adoption will reach critical mass. All of these coins are aligned to benefit from this exact window. Insiders are not guessing. They know how the systems will activate, and they are positioning quietly for the moment when the market finally realizes what has been building under the surface. And here's the psychological angle. When retail traders finally notice, the growth will not be gradual. It will be rapid, intense, and widespread, because the early accumulation by strategic investors will combine with a flood of new demand from institutions and the public realizing these coins have actual utility. Those who were paying attention during the quiet accumulation phase, the ones who understood the hints, the whispers, the subtle insider confirmations, will have an undeniable advantage. So, while it feels quiet, while it feels like nothing is happening, that is exactly what makes this moment so powerful. Because the real growth is hidden behind the scenes, in partnerships, adoption, infrastructure, and institutional integration. That is why insiders are speaking softly but confidently. That is why they drop hints, because they are telling those who are listening. The stage is being set. And when it is ready, these coins will not just move, they will explode. By understanding this, you start to see the pattern. You start to feel the momentum building. You start to realize that XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC are not here for short-term speculation. They are here for real-world impact, and the market is finally approaching the point where that impact will be reflected in price. This is the quiet before the storm, the stillness before the surge. And by the time everyone else wakes up, those who understood the hints and signs will already be in position to benefit from one of the most explosive phases in crypto history. If you step back and look at the patterns forming right now, it becomes clear that XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC are not just quietly building. They are strategically positioning themselves for a massive phase of adoption that will fundamentally change how the market perceives them. And the interesting part is the market barely notices. Prices feel muted, sideways, almost stagnant. But what is happening under the surface is anything but still. It is activity hidden from the public eye, the kind of work that only insiders, institutions, and early adopters can see and understand. Think about XRP. For years, it was labeled as just another crypto, often misunderstood, often dismissed. But behind the scenes, Ripple has been building payment corridors, establishing partnerships with banks, and creating liquidity networks designed to handle enterprise-level transactions at a scale that most investors cannot comprehend. They are quietly integrating these corridors into real-world financial infrastructure. The moment they flip the switch fully, demand for XRP will not be speculative. It will be structural, consistent, unstoppable. Stellar XLM operates in a similar fashion. While the public conversation often focuses on price action and hype cycles, Stellar has been expanding anchor networks, connecting remittance services, and creating frictionless cross-border payment systems. These integrations are not just theoretical. They are being stress-tested and piloted, preparing for broader adoption. Insiders speak cautiously, using language like ongoing testing or future integrations. But those are not casual statements. They are signals to anyone paying attention that the network is entering a critical stage. HBAR, too, has been quietly transforming enterprise adoption. Its hashgraph architecture is being used in supply chain applications, decentralized identity solutions, and data integrity frameworks. Each integration strengthens the network's utility, creating demand not dependent on hype or market sentiment. XDC's focus on trade finance digitization positions it to capture a niche that is massive in volume but often overlooked in crypto discussions. By connecting global trade workflows to blockchain, XDC is laying the groundwork for adoption that, when fully realized, could dramatically increase transactional volume and demand. The common thread here is infrastructure. None of these projects are chasing short-term gains. None of them are focused on community-driven hype or pump cycles. They are building systems, real, usable, scalable systems, that once operational will generate organic demand for their tokens. And this is exactly what insiders are signaling. Their language is cautious, careful, but confident. They drop hints about pilot programs, partnerships, and institutional integrations, signaling that adoption is not hypothetical. It is imminent. Timing matters. By 2026, multiple factors converge: regulatory clarity, cross-border payment adoption, corporate integrations, and institutional interest. Each of these catalysts alone would be significant, but together they create a perfect storm. And when you combine these catalysts with the silent accumulation that has been occurring over months, the conditions for explosive price movement are forming. Think about the psychology behind this. Retail investors often wait for visible proof, charts, or news before acting. Institutions and insiders, however, move first. They accumulate quietly, integrate strategically, and prepare systems for maximum efficiency. By the time the broader market notices, they are already in position to benefit from adoption-driven demand rather than hype-driven volatility. And here's the kicker. The more stuck the prices feel now, the stronger the foundation for future movement. Sideways action, muted charts, and quiet markets do not mean weakness. They mean preparation. They mean accumulation. They mean that every person paying attention now is witnessing a rare opportunity, a prelude to an adoption wave that will likely redefine these coins' market positions by 2026. When adoption flips on, this is not about gradual growth. It is about rapid structural repricing. XRP and XLM will no longer be under-the-radar coins. They will be indispensable components of global financial infrastructure. HBAR and XDC will no longer be quietly functional projects. They will be essential networks that corporations and governments rely on. And those who noticed the subtle signs early, the insider hints, the pilot program announcements, the quiet accumulation, will be the ones best positioned to capitalize. This is why the quiet now is so critical. The stillness, the muted charts, the nothing happening phase is exactly the environment where strategic accumulation and integration occur. Prices may not reflect the underlying reality yet, but the infrastructure, adoption, and institutional positioning are building momentum. And when the system reaches critical mass, these coins will not just move, they will explode. By 2026, what looks stagnant today will be seen in hindsight as the calm before the storm, the preparation phase that enabled a transformative market shift. Those paying attention, listening to insiders, and understanding the infrastructure-driven narrative will recognize the opportunity when it fully manifests, while others scramble to catch up. Now, if you've been following closely, you can feel the tension in the market, that quiet, almost imperceptible pressure building under the surface. Prices may look flat, charts may seem boring, but that is exactly what makes this moment so powerful. XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC are quietly being positioned for one of the most explosive phases in crypto history, and those who recognize it now are the ones who will be ready when everything finally shifts. The truth is, the quiet markets are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of preparation. Infrastructure is being built. Partnerships are being formed. Institutional adoption is increasing. Regulatory frameworks are becoming clearer. All of these elements take time, but when they come together, the momentum is unstoppable. These coins are not chasing hype or short-term speculation. They are creating real-world utility that will drive demand in a sustainable, structural way. And that is what insiders have been hinting at all along. They speak carefully, drop subtle clues, and signal that adoption is approaching a tipping point. They don't need to scream about it, because the groundwork has been laid quietly, methodically, strategically. When these systems activate, it won't be a gentle upward slope. It will be an explosive wave that reflects not speculation, but actual real-world use and integration. By 2026, the landscape could look entirely different. XLM and XRP may become integral to global financial networks. HBAR could underpin enterprise-level solutions across multiple industries. XDC might redefine trade finance in ways that generate consistent transactional demand. And those who understood the signals early, who saw beyond the flat charts and listened to the whispers of insider activity, will be best positioned to benefit from this structural repricing. So here's what you need to do. Pay attention, stay informed, and position yourself wisely. Don't get distracted by short-term hype or the noise of everyday price movements. Focus on the bigger picture, adoption, infrastructure, and utility. And if this analysis resonates with you, take action that matters. Hit that like button to show you're tuned in. Drop a comment sharing which coin you think will explode first. And subscribe so you don't miss the critical updates as this quiet accumulation phase turns into one of the most transformative moves in crypto history. Because the moment these systems go live, the market will no longer feel stuck. The energy that has been building quietly will be unleashed, and those who saw it coming will be ahead. Patience, awareness, and early insight will define winners and followers. Stay locked in because the explosive phase for XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC is closer than most realize, and 2026 could be the year everything changes.